Good morning, everybody. How are you? It's a beautiful Saturday here in Miami, Florida. This is Suzette Speaks. I'm live, and I'm grateful to have each and every one of you here. I have a very special guest with me today. We're going to be talking about something I'm not going to lie, I don't know a lot of information about. Okay, she's going to be leading as I follow. Let me tell you, I didn't even put on my earrings, y'all. I just looked in the mirror and I ain't got on no earrings. So I want to welcome you. This is Suzette Speaks Live, and I'm grateful that each and every one of you are here. We have interesting conversations, lots of fun, edutainment, as I like to call it. On Saturdays, we have a special simulcast that goes with the show, which is on Jamaicans.com. Our co-sponsors, their Facebook page likes to bring us live every Saturday, or allows us to come live every Saturday. And we are going to be talking about a special type of, I would call it, I guess, industry. Now, we hear the word project management, and I know I've heard the words project management, and it sounds like, oh, yeah, anybody can manage a project. No. I'm talking about a specialized area of certified, or I don't know if I would call it licensed, but certified, professionals who help companies to streamline their operations, make sure they get things done on time, and optimize. And I guess I'm going to let her explain it, y'all. Optimize the type of work that can be done on their behalf. And I know two project managers in real life, and I've never really even talked to them about what it is that they do. But what I'm learning is that project management can be a recession-proof way of ensuring that you have a top dollar career. So if you are interested in some sort of career transition, looking for new ways to make money, looking for new industries to join, what I realize is there is, and she'll explain it more than me because she has too many letters behind her name for me to put in this intro, but she helps professionals become certified and rise through the ranks of project management. Again, project management is not just a generic terminology in the way we're using it today. It is a specific area of expertise. And I don't see a lot of Black folks in it. So I really wanted to allow her to come and explain. This is Project Management 101 for Sue, right? I'm going to tell you, I'm learning right alongside you today as to what it means, what the certifications are. I just know my homegirl up in Palm Beach, shout out to everybody from 561, is always in meetings and always going to trainings and getting like recertified, next certification. And what I love is a lot of these certifications could take you, a quarter of the time it would take you to get a college degree. And oftentimes when you're really good at it, the six-figure potential is there. So I would love for her, and I'm grateful that she's here to school us, educate us. If you are in project management, please, we want you to leave comments in the chat. Let us know what you know. But as I say, I'm a student today, for real. I was like talking to a friend who someone was introducing her to the concepts of project management. And she was like, girl, you could get certified in 6 months, 1 year, and then you can do this and you can do that. But I don't think, again, within our community, it is so, it's not widely talked about. So if you are interested in some kind of new turn in your career path, let's go. I see you, TTO. Welcome. Thank you for being here. Hit the like button, y'all. Welcome if you're watching on Jamaicans.com. Welcome if you're watching on the Suzette Speaks YouTube. You know what it is. We come to you live. We had some great shows this past week. Okay, if I could say so myself. Shout out to Nzinga Oniwosan. We did a 21-day detox. She was fabulous. We have a great show coming up on Monday with Jeremy Etienne, overall lifestyle transformation and wellness. He's a transformational coach. I don't know. I'm in a wellness mindset this last week. But today we're going to talk about get your money up, get your money right, and hopefully introducing you to a new industry, or maybe for some who are already in it, called project management. If you know what project management is, put it in the chat. I'm just curious if I'm the only one that needs some more, exploratory mentorship into what it is and what it means and what they do. But I have the right person for y'all today. Don't listen. With the letters behind the name, I already knew, okay, Miss Amber Chandler did not come to play. She coaches people into project management, into career transformation. And again, we're going to talk about how project management jobs can be recession-proof, because they keep saying, y'all, we are getting into sticky times. Even the bank bailouts they've had, not really saving banks. Like, it's really crazy how how the market works. But welcome, hit the like button, come through. Without further ado, I see you, Andrew. Welcome. I see you. Definitely have to check out the rerun on this. Okay, if you can't catch it live, replay, you know what to do. Welcome, hit the like button as you come in. And let's see. Yes, manners and respect. Okay, don't know much about okay, you're in the right place. So while I get my lip gloss on and get my little, y'all know I like to get comfortable with you. We're human. We're here, hopefully doing God's work and educating our people and elevating them at the same time while having a little fun. So without further ado, welcome for the first time to the SuzetteSpeaks show, Miss Amber Chandler. Hi.
Hello. Thank you for having me.
How are you?
I'm pretty good. Had
fantastic.
a pretty busy week, but looking forward to this conversation.
I'm so happy too that you're here. Do me a favor, touch your camera down just a tiny bit. So I love it. That would be equal. Hey, there she go, y'all. There she go. Welcome, sis. Looking beautiful. Happy Saturday to you, and thank you for joining me and bringing your knowledge to the SuzetteSpeaks show. Y'all see her. How do you say Agilish? Amber.Agilish. Is that how you say it? So all her social media, you see it there, Amber.Agilish. And again, she won't explain what this means. The description of the video kind of helped me to understand. I'm a lawyer. I love to do my research, right? But I didn't do much research. So we're going to start from the beginning. So before we get too deep, please introduce yourself to the people.
Sure. Thank you. Amber Chandler. That is my preferred name. Some people call me Amby, but let's stick with Amber. I am a project manager by trade and a Agile Coach in the evening. And I've been in project management about 15 years. A pretty unique, let's say, journey. But what I did was pivoted my way into a career that has paid me well, allowed me to travel, and allowed me to influence others to live their best lives too, using the skill sets that they already have. I am certified as a project management professional. You guys know PMP, and I also have SAFE, which is another Agile framework. I have SAFE certification. So in total, I have about 7 certifications. But what you'll learn today is that none of those certifications even matter.
Oh, they don't? Okay, I'm just kidding. So, as I'm learning and you're learning, y'all hit the like button. We're coming in to give you a good understanding. And again, I call this Project Management 101 because I am following your lead, my dear, today. So you've been doing this 15 years, which is a great career. That means you've seen a lot, done a lot. So y'all, she's walked the walk, let's say it that way. So what got you started in project management? Was this your first career choice? You had an undergrad experience in what, or how did you find this industry?
I would say it actually found me. I had the luxury of working as a sophomore in college. So I was a full-time student as a freshman. And then as a sophomore, I worked alongside getting my degree, which was in organizational leadership and supervision, which is where I first learned about it. So I learned about project management, let's say, when I was about 21.
Wow.
And I was able to practice what I was learning in my degree program in real time because I was already working. And when I say it found me is I was just practicing stuff that I had to turn in on my homework. And it wasn't labeled as project management in my textbooks. It was labeled as these are principles. Okay. So over the years, well, actually, I shouldn't say over the years. It happened very fast as I was seen as like this person who's a high performer when really I was just testing out stuff. And so then I got put on special projects, but it wasn't until maybe 5 years after that, like initial point where I was like, wait a minute, this is project management.
So that's very interesting. So you started out undergraduate in organizational management. So I think that gives us a clue as to what project management means. Hello, everybody. I see everybody in the chat. Welcome, Jeremy. How are you? Out here trucking in the building says hi. Oh, welcome. New name. Thank you. Howard Brommer says TLA Disciple. He's another fantastic YouTuber, the lead attorney. So, okay, you found me. Thank you very much. Glad you were here. We're talking to Miss Amber Chandler, y'all, talking about her journey into the project management industry. So was kind of introduced to it via an undergraduate coursework of study, realizing organizational leadership had ties to what is project management. So when you hear that word, again, people think of it in the layman's terms. I see a project, I manage. That's not what we're meaning here. Can you describe what this terminology means as far as how the industry views certified project managers? What did they do?
Okay, so a project manager, and we'll get to this later, but there are a couple classifications of project management, and that's where the agile-ish term comes in. But basically, project management is going to be anytime you're managing something from inception to thing in the hand, right? To bring something unique to the market or the environment, right? So it doesn't already exist. So it's going to take someone like me, a project manager, to look at what are the requirements to what does it look like when this thing is done. So as a project manager, I take that requirement, that conceptualization, and I orchestrate a plan. I mobilize resources, I check in to make sure we're on the right track, and at the end of the day we have our deliverable, which should be a unique thing or process.
Okay, very cool. So taking a conception all the way to reality and coming up with a design, maybe a process to create this with, I guess, different teams, different parts of your organization that exists, and making sure it comes to fruition. Now, how is this different from, because this is what I thought when I think about organizations, companies, and their structure, I think of vice president of this, director of this. How come those people's jobs are not really project management, or are they?
I wouldn't call those project managers. Project managers are going to be more tactical in nature than they are strategic. Okay. So those who in the C-suite, the VP, directors, their job is not to get caught up in the minutia of day-to-day, the nitty gritty that makes a company and organization. That's not on their radar. That's on mine as the project manager. So, and which is also different from an operations manager.
Okay.
The project manager is managing bringing something unique to the environment.
Okay.
And someone in operations is just helping to continue what was created.
Okay, so we're getting some distinctions here. I think I'm following. So you have the people who are at the top of the organizational chart, right? You have your everyday worker, you have his middle manager, assistant managers, top managers that get up to senior level directors, and then VPs of, and then CEO. Okay, so we're thinking about that type of pyramid structure, right? So when we think of the vice presidents and all the people who are normally at the very top, even if you're talking about a smaller mom and pop operation, maybe 100 employees, actually 100 employees, not mom and pop. So maybe under 10 employees, you still have a structure. And even though you will have people at the very top who have a, vision where we want the company to go in a year, 5 years, 10 years, you're saying, although those visionaries who might have these larger titles can tell you what they want, they're not necessarily equipped, or nor do they want to be necessarily in what you call the minutia, the day-to-day, the send the emails to get this particularly programmatic kind of execution done. There's a project manager, again, a specific guy's type of professional who comes in to manage the creation and implementation of a specific, would you say, a unique proposition?
Something unique. Yeah, and so just to add to what you're saying, how you described it is very typical for organizations that have departments, right? A mom and pop, something smaller like a startup or something, a lot of them, even though they might say they're CEO, they might be project managing their stuff because they don't have departments, right? So in that case, the founder
doing both.
Very much so.
Yeah. So you end up being that if it's a smaller operation. Now, let me ask you, project managers are always coming in from the outside. Does a company usually have a project manager on staff as like a full-time employee, or do they hire them as needed, project to project, on a need basis? Is that normally what you see? You come in from the outside as a project manager, or is there someone that is usually residential or on staff that does this type of work?
All of the above.
So you can
Yeah.
be full-time, because I think of it as coming in, because the way my friends describe it, the two who I know, who I'm not sure, again, I understood their job fully, and I'm grateful that you're here to break it on down so I understand more about what they do and what the certifications mean. Because you'll see in her bio, y'all, she has a lot of certifications. She said she has 7 total. And that how important they are and how they're not important at the same time, which I'm intrigued by. But just understanding what they do, y'all, I'm trying to figure out, can you give us examples, or maybe a project that you've worked on or you've coached someone on? And welcome again. I see you. Let me see. Tarus, hey, welcome. Says all those positions SuzetteSpeaks just named in the middle of the pyramid tend to be the first ones to go in the recession. Hello, somebody. So trying to make yourself recession proof is one of the reasons we're here discussing project management with Miss Amber Chandler, and how you can use this industry. Again, it's not a generic term, y'all. It's a specific industry called project management to recession proof yourself. Thank you, Tyrese. Welcome, sir. All right, so give us an example of when a project manager or a type of project that you have handled, so that we can understand when they come into play. Hey, Mandrell.
Yeah, so I'll give you the 2 examples that you mentioned, which one would be an organization. Let's say, well, I'll give you a perfect example. When we had, I'll call it the shutdown, so we don't get censored. There were a lot of things moving, and we had to do them quickly, right? There has to be a centralized person that is looking across all of what's happening to make sure that this thing that we're trying to get done is going to get done. So in one of my roles during that time.
Okay, so you're saying when the C-19 came and everybody was like, oh my God, what are we doing? What are we doing? Okay, you stepped in, and how did you help this organization?
Yeah, so I worked in clinical trials for 14 years. I started out in the lab, and then I eventually made it to IT. But while I was during that time, our organization where I worked, the pharmaceutical company, we had to figure out, how do we continue to support the patients who are on clinical trials without them having to physically come in the office. Okay. So what we had to do was create a suite of capabilities, which was software, supplies that we had to ship them. It was like this bundle that we had to create, just to make sure there was continuity in the clinical trial, that no patient was left unattended to on a study drug. And so I was the one that was mobilizing the different resources, we call them talent, the different talent areas, to make sure that everybody was doing their part so that we could get this capability to market. And
so not only in critical cases, but in any case where there is a lot of moving parts, maybe, as you say, you have to be agile. Y'all see her, Angela.Agilish, Agilish, Agleish. You'll see it on your screen right there on the bottom right, or bottom left. So you can find her on all socials. So it was a matter of having, I guess, a bird's eye view and seeing, you guys have your trial going, the country is shutting down, we need to keep the trial up, we can't miss anything, because I know that happens a lot. Departments don't talk to each other. We thought you had it, you thought we had it, nobody contacted the persons, the patients, whoever the key players are. The science and technology people need to know what the IT people need to know what I get that.
Yep.
So that person comes in, make sure everything stays cooking, right? And so that no ball gets dropped in this kind of transition. Now, do you see project managers when there is non-emergency type projects also typically?
Absolutely.
So when people pull together, it doesn't have to be, I'm just kind of contextualizing, because people say, oh, they come in during the, no, they don't. It can be any type of soup to nuts, get us from point A to point B. This is a creation or vision that we have. We need to figure it out. And we are not necessarily going to have one person within our office. If you're talking about a bigger firm, or mom and pop might not have the capacity, capability, the time, because they're the persons on the front line actually running their own company. So I see it in the big scale, and I see it on the small scale, as well as emergency, non-emergency, just people being able to count on somebody to be accountable to this not, things not slipping through the cracks, I guess is the best way I can see that. And making sure everybody's talking to one another and well coordinated, and resources are well coordinated. Am I getting it?
You summed it up perfectly. And the best example of a project manager would be somebody like just in a practical sense, an event coordinator. That's not an emergency, but we're bringing something unique to the environment or to the market, right? A wedding coordinator, that's actual project manager, right? I don't know, did you, even how we're here right now, there were so many elements and moving parts to get us on this screen together.
Yeah, girl, I had whatever you're describing. I'm like, I've been a project manager my whole life. What's up?
And that's why I say certifications are a very small part of it.
Wow. So if you have, y'all, I don't know, because I feel like a lot of people I know have this hidden talent of being able, y'all work in, nonprofit organizations, churches, and other religious entities. We're doing this. We are saying, oh my gosh, we got to put on the big gala or the fundraiser or whatever it is. And I know people who are really good at this that ain't got a certification to count on. But if you ask them to oversee a project from soup to nuts, this is what they're doing. So I love the fact that we're bringing light to this, and y'all, we can get paid, right? We can be hired. It doesn't have to be, based on, we volunteer a lot doing this. I've worked on political campaigns. I've done other things as well. That is really what you're talking about. I just didn't know it had like a succinct name and that people get paid specifically to do that type of job. I just think of it as, oh, I'm good at, certain skills, but put together, you could probably help a lot of people in business who are needing. And again, I think sometimes, Amber, when you're used to doing certain things, you think everybody can do it. And I realize that's another thing. We tend to sometimes, people who have these kind of hidden talents think, oh, that's not a talent. Everybody's good at that. No, everybody's not necessarily good at what you're good at. So putting a name to it, guys, is really important. I'm grateful that Amber Chandler is here. Please be sure, follow her on Instagram, on socials, on LinkedIn. I just followed you this morning. Look for her name. She goes by Amber Agilist, and make sure Amber Chandler, obviously, you can check her out. And she helps people transition into this type of industry. So your first experiences, let's back up, because now you're an expert, but was it very difficult for you? I guess with the background in organizational management, you kind of had a jump start, because I'm thinking someone doesn't come from this background at all. What does that look like? Do you coach people with zero experience?
That is not my favorite thing to do. Coach people with zero experience, because
tell the truth. It's like, nah, you got to kind of know what you're doing.
Well, I like to coach people who have been in corporate America for 5 years or more. Okay. Right? So they have a point of reference to pull from.
Yeah.
It's not to say that those coming from retail can't be project managers, right? If you were a cashier, you may only be familiar with the operational side. Yeah. If you were a retail manager, right, now we're talking. Right. Most individuals who have title of either coordinator, supervisor, or manager, they've had some level of responsibility that involved project management. So it's not that you have to work in corporate. It's we have to look at what you did in whatever you did. So
okay, so it has to relate to some of these skills, which is the next question. Thank you, Miss AKA Lady has a question. Says, what are the skills you use the most to get consistent results out of your people? Great question.
Oh, that's loaded.
Yay. I have a really astute audience. Okay.
So soft skills will always be king. I have a model. I call it the SWV model. That's our recession-proof model, but we'll get to that. But the soft skills that you're going to bring, well, let me answer your question. Soft skills.
So people who don't know what that means, soft skills are communication and being able to, what should I say? Make people feel at home, build a team, making sure you explain what you mean by soft skills. That's what comes to mind for me.
Yeah. And I have 3 main soft skills that they're going to show up no matter what you're dealing with, whether the team is in a good place or the team is in a shaky place. Your communication skills, you said it, your problem solving abilities, and then your process improvement abilities. Okay. Because there's nothing worse than talking about it and going through a problem solving session and then nothing gets fixed. So you have to add that third one in there, which is process improvement. How can I facilitate improving this environment for my people?
I love it. I love it. So project managers hold a lot of power too. I realize that because if there are so many people in so many departments or so many different individuals, if you don't have a department kind of style project, whereas individuals who work for a company that report to you, that's a lot of power. And so you got to be able to make people feel like they're part of the team. They're not being, bullied into or shown up because, oh, I'm here now because y'all couldn't do it. That kind of, I could see there being a little bit of resentment for another layer of management. Like, oh my God, are we going to lose our jobs? No, you're not. We're going to go ahead and try to, I have a friend, and I think she said in an interview I did on my Patreon, Trish For Real is a project manager. She was on this channel as well. And a good friend of mine, I know her from law circles, and she's now been in project management for a couple of years. And she's like, I tell them straight up, I'm not your friend, I'm a friend of the project. So you need to understand. I mean,
I like that.
I was like, oh, okay, sis. She's like, yeah. And we were talking about showing grace and forgiveness, and people seeing you as like enemy or someone who to be feared. And she's like, I have to work on that all the time. When people don't get to deadlines, and we'll get to this, and how they react to, especially you being a woman and a Black woman. She's like, there's a lot of people that are not used to leadership that looks like me. So I have to be careful, and I have to, even go above and beyond to kind of strike a certain tone so that people know I'm approachable, but that I'm still going to get this job done. So very interesting. Soft skills, number one, a problem solving inside of that, for sure. Being able to improve a process. So looking at something and saying, how can I make this better? How can I make this easier for people? Why are people trying to do it this way? Let's try it that way. Maybe we'll save time, money, resource, whatever. Okay. I love that. Other skills you want to mention? Or let me see. Miss AKA Lady adds, I definitely project manage my house. I can relate to seeing and working things good from a macro, broad to the micro level. The day-to-day minutia, what needs to happen in the small steps, I guess, versus what needs to happen in that big picture. So sometimes we get ahead of ourselves and we miss the big picture. We miss the small steps and to get us to that. Okay, I hope that makes sense, guys. I hope you follow what I'm saying. But very good question, love, and I appreciate you. Thank you very much, Tyrus, on the super chat. Appreciate that. Says, looking back on your career so far, he asked, which certifications do you feel were worth it? Okay, so we're going to get into the letters. I need to understand what all this means. I've heard of Lean Six Sigma. I actually took one class, I think, as some kind of lean class, but I think people get intimidated, sometimes confused by what Six Sigma means. And again, I put it on my resume, but I don't know if I kind of knew what it was in the class that we were discussing anyway. So I'm just like, okay, sure. People like to see that. I'll do it again when it was free, actually, at my Urban League here in Miami. So people were like, there's a Six Sigma class, take a blue belt or a red, yellow, I don't know. So I was like, all right, I just found myself signed up in a class and I didn't even really understand what it was about. So Taru's very good question. So again, he asked, which certifications do you feel were worth it? And so project managers have certifications for what I'm going to ask you just momentarily, and which ones didn't do much to enhance your resume. Great questions. All right, so let's break down some of this certification that goes with project management.
Okay, so it's so funny that you mentioned Lean and Six Sigma. I have neither one of those.
Oh,
but I was trained in Lean several times. That was one of my favorite subjects, Lean. And that was one of the first things I was introduced to before I knew what project management was. And that's what I learned in my degree program. But I don't have any certifications in that. But it definitely influenced what type of work ethic I had. So I would say all of my certifications were worth it, but some of them move more weight than others.
Okay, let's break that down. So how are you certified? What certifications do you have right now?
So I have my PMP. That was absolutely worth it, hands down.
How much is that? I'm going to get into your business. How much is that and how long does that take? Project Management Professional, the PMP designation.
I think
Estimate. It doesn't have to be exact.
maybe like 600, maybe 700.
Not crazy amount. Okay.
But the prep work for PMP is what cost. So I was probably about 2,000 in on my certification for the PMP. That one was probably hands down the most important one because I had DIY'd project management for years, right? Which is why I said they don't matter, right? I just made it work, just like you, Suzette.
Yeah,
you just make it work, just like the other lady who's in the comments.
We're like, we doing this every day. What is this a job?
Right. So what the PMP did was said to the market, here's her project management experience, right? But what it said was, we know if we get her in-house, she's going to run it through these steps. Okay. She's going to run it through these frameworks. So more than your experience is going to be king.
Right.
Your certification is just an enhancement to what you were already doing before you got it.
Okay. So the experience is always trumping. And again, it doesn't have to be quote unquote project manager experience. You could have been in a supervisory role. You could have been in a management role, kind of doing these type of skills. But you're gonna need a little bit of paperwork to, I guess, command a salary or to say to people, no, I really do know what I'm doing. So PMP, project management professional, the certification itself, $600-700. We'll look it up wherever you are. And then you said you were a couple thousand in to get to that. What does that mean? What were you investing in?
It's coaching, study materials, boot camps.
Is that hard to pass?
You're a lawyer.
I know, it's like a bar.
I was telling this to my students. I did a workshop on Thursday, and I was like, I've never taken the LSAT or anything like that. I've never taken anything like that. I said, but if I had to describe it, I would probably say that's how crazy it is.
Is it math and science or like paragraph reading, like SAT like, or what is it like?
No, it's definitely an exaggeration, right?
Okay.
But it's difficult. It is extremely difficult, not because, I'm unintelligent or the next person is unintelligent, but people normally don't pass it on their first try. It takes them 2 and 3 times to pass it. I passed it on my first try, but I was very intentional. I locked in and I didn't have a social life, but it's
that's good to know that you're going to have to really, buckle down and get focused and prepare for this test and not take it cold, guys. It sounds like you need some coaching, some prep books, something to get you ready to pass it. I say that about the LSAT all the time. Do not take that thing cold. Smart as you are, you have to realize that it's a test on how to get to the answer they want. So you can be super smart, but if you don't know how to give them what they think is the right answer, you're not going to pass this. And most people do not do well if they take the LSAT cold. But anyway, so
and that's what it's like. It's not intuitive.
Yeah.
It's not intuitive at all. And it's almost like a different language.
Wow. Okay. I'm so curious. I'm like going to go look up test questions because I'm like, wow. Okay. So that's good to know, guys. This is great information. Hit the like button, please. Comment, share. If you have questions, please put them in the chat. I'm here with Amber Chandler talking about her journey, 15 plus years in project management. And we're asking her about her certifications and what they are in terms of the value they've brought. And Taru's great question. So PMP for sure. Think about it in terms of maybe 2,500-ish or more in terms of the investment plus the exam. Or
investment of the coaching plus the exam. But I will say that I took the older version of it.
Okay.
I'm hearing that it's gotten easier, but I don't know who.
Oh, okay. Well, y'all don't go take it cold because you will hurt your feelings. So preparation is key. Hey, Miss Glove Girl, I see you in the chat. And she has a question. I'll bring it up just a second. So, okay. So PMP definitely was worth it. You said you are not any type of Lean Six Sigma certified. Wow.
No. So, okay. So project management certifications, almost no single certification is going to be the certification by itself. All of these frameworks are wraparound frameworks, which means they pull a little bit from this, a little bit from this, and a little bit from this. Almost all project management frameworks have an element of lean in it.
Okay.
So you cannot get away from lean principles.
Okay. And if you guys don't know what we're talking about, you're going to Google Lean Six Sigma, right? Again, it's a way of thinking and operating in terms of business and business strategy. We'll leave it there because it's its own kind of animal, and people get certified in levels of lean. So again, people I see, you know, I'm a lean black belt. I'm a lean, like they'll say it's like, you know, colors, I think, for the lean hierarchy. So I took like a green class. I don't know if it was yellow or if it was out of order, but it'll tell people that, again, you're trained, as you said, in different ways of approaching a project and different ways of thinking about a problem business wise in terms of your strategy. So lean is another way that people say that I have more certifications than you, but she's saying it's not even like it hasn't helped her. She doesn't have it, but she uses principles in lean. Any other ones that are like a must get or have helped you a lot?
And let me just clarify. Lean and Six Sigma are actually two different ones.
Oh,
but you can get them together.
I always hear Lean Six Sigma.
Well, because that's what I'm saying. No certification by itself is how you do it.
Okay, so Lean and Six Sigma are separate. I always hear it together.
But you can't do them together.
Okay.
One is focused on finding things that can be improved, while the other is focused on foolproofing it so that you eliminate flaws or the chance of it happening. So
fantastic.
I missed your question though.
So any other? So PMP is a very good one. And are there any other ones that made a critical difference to your career trajectory in terms of certification? So
a lot of individuals are familiar with the CSM, which is the Certified Scrum Master. But
I saw these in your bio and I did not know what they meant. Certified Scrum Master, CSM. What does that mean?
I do not have that one.
Okay.
I have the industry equivalent, which is the Professional Scrum Master.
Okay, so you have certified, and then you have Professional Scrum Master. I'm not familiar with the term Scrum. What does that mean?
Scrum is we haven't talked about Agile yet. So
let's back up. And then I see Miss Glow Girl asking, thank you again, Sarus. What is the difference between project management and program management? We'll get into it. Thank you. She's answering it as she goes along. Welcome, Alman. Nice to see you on the Facebook side. Y'all hit the like button. Here we're talking about recession-proof jobs, and some of us just need maybe new jobs in project management. If you're thinking about career changes, this might be for you. I'm with Miss Amber Chandler, and I want to say her name, Amber.Agilish. Agilish is her handles all over socials, so you can find her. Definitely check out her services when it comes to helping people understand and get into project management, right? We're doing a 101 today. So if you're brand new to even the concepts of what the heck is project management, Ms. Glover is asking program management. It's totally different because project management is a certain industry. We think about just having a program. Can you explain real quick? Is there an actual industry called program management?
So project management and project management program that's actually not an industry at all.
Right.
It's just a title more than anything.
So we're not talking about project management as a title. We're talking about it as a specific industry. And I think that's what kind of throws people off sometimes because we think, oh, there's a project and you managed it. No, there's actual certifications that tell people that you have a high level of skill in terms of coming in and fixing again or initiating a new project such that it is successful in a less amount of time, not using as many resources, not falling through the, little things not falling through the cracks in terms of the execution. And she's giving examples as to what this looks like in real life. But we're getting, I think, ahead of ourselves. Let's get back to certification. And you were going to talk about what it means to be agile. So take us there. Take us to where you think would be great in terms of the step-by-step of understanding what this industry called project management means.
Cool. And this is such a big topic. So we're going to do this. We're going to do it.
Yeah.
So there's traditional project management, which is what my PMP certifies me to do. Okay, that's we call it waterfall. So that's the traditional project management, and that's tied to the PMP. And then the certified Scrum Master, the professional Scrum Master, the SAFE, which I mentioned earlier, that is a scaled agile approach. Those are agile certifications. They still contribute to the world of project management, but what agile is basically is it's a iterative approach, and I'll explain what that means. It's an iterative approach to manage complex problems or develop products. Okay, and iterative only means that we have a concept, we test, we start on it with just enough information to bring our idea to something tangible that we can either see or hold in our hand. We evaluate it and we look at it to see if it can be improved. How can it be improved? Does the customer need it improved? We take all that feedback and then we go back and we fix it some more. We present it to the same people again, say, hey, is this it? And we keep doing that and we keep doing that. All right. So the best example of agile is what Instagram is doing. Okay. So what is his name? Maseri? I forget his name. Maseri, the guy on Instagram.
Okay.
Yeah. So when he
I know you're talking about, but I don't know
on,
his name. Go ahead. Excuse me. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, when he comes on his reel and he says, hey, here are the updates we made, what he's doing is actually one of the ceremonies that happens inside of Scrum, which is a sprint review, okay, which happens inside of Scrum. What he's saying is, hey, guys, we took your feedback from all of the comment sections, and here are the adjustments we made. Tell me if you like it. Okay. Adam, then, or somebody from Adam's team, they go and they get all of that data from the comments and then they put it back into a plan to bring enhancements or fixes or modifications. And what happens when they do another release of Instagram features? They come back, they make the announcement again, and people complain in the comments or say kudos. And so that essentially is Scrum.
Iterative. So trying out something new, changing one thing or a couple things.
Not one thing, but changing whatever needs to be changed.
Oh, okay. So iterative, I'm thinking like individual. No. So changing what needs to be changed based on feedback, changing it again, based on feedback, changing it again, making improvements step by step, I guess is better than just necessarily saying one individual thing. So step by step progression, and then what works, keep it, and then try something else and improve. And what works from that, keep it and keep it moving until you get to a final product that people really like.
And it doesn't necessarily have to be that you're changing something. It could be that you're adding to. Maybe the customer loves everything, so there's no reason to change it. But it's like, it's kind of like all the different functions.
Yeah, so an optimization. So not necessarily change. Okay, I love it. This, I can tell, is an industry that has a lot of vocabulary and ways of speaking that you would have to learn. Because again, what we're using words for on a normal basis is not how it's used in the industry terminology. And you have to be up on that so that people know that you are equipped. So I realize that. I'm like, how we're saying project man, nope. If there's an industry-based terminology for what we're talking about, iterative improvement, Scrum, these things, I can see that it has its own body of language that you need to know, so people know that you know what you're talking about. Great stuff here. Yes, Alman says thank you for that. We appreciate it. Okay, we're glad we're helping somebody. Talking about project management. If you're new to project management, you're not the only one. It is its own industry. There are certifications that go along with it. And you're basically taking an idea, a vision from beginning to fully executed completion, managing different parts of either a company or like a small mom and pop operation, and overseeing the bird's eye view of making sure all of the moving parts are working together to get the outcome in the time frame that your client wants you to get. So have you typically worked inside one company as a full-time employee, or have you typically come in on a, I don't want to say contract basis, but like for short terms to help beginning to end on just specific projects? How have you typically worked when you found yourself in different roles?
And both of those are options. I've done both.
Okay.
When I was in clinical trials, I actually was a full-time project manager for the lab I worked for. When I went to another pharma company, I went through a PMO, a project management office. And so a PMO is kind of like an agency of just project managers.
Huh.
We call it a project management office.
So people look to these agencies specifically for when they need a project manager.
100%.
Wow. Okay. Wow. So tell me about the diversity in this type of industry. Are there a lot of folks of color involved in this industry?
A lot is very subjective.
Okay.
I will
A
say
lot.
that.
Okay. Have you seen your personal experience? Let's say it that way, because we don't. Yeah.
When I first got started, there are 3 that I'm picturing right now, and they were the only 3 that I saw. When I there was a PMO I went to in 2019, and there were a ton of us.
Mm-hmm.
So, but the founder of that PMO is also Black.
Okay, so no coincidence there. Okay, cool.
Yeah. So, but what I've heard is that it's other people have not had the same experience as I have. So I've been very fortunate.
Meaning the success you've had?
No, as far as seeing other Black people.
Oh, they don't see them as much. Oh, got it.
Yeah, a lot of my colleagues were. So
I like that we're bringing to the fore this type of information, because I don't really believe a lot of people have heard of this industry called project management in our communities. We think of, the most basic type of career paths, and this is a less beaten path of a career. So if we don't know about it, we're definitely not going to pursue it. And I want to give people the opportunity to know about it so that they can investigate and see if it's right for you. There is a whole industry called project management. Amber is an expert. She helps people transition into it. If you've had more management style corporate experience, you're more geared towards it. I'm sure if you also have, again, running a law firm or in other industries, certain skills are transferable, right? So you gotta, investigate first to see if this might be a good fit. And we're gonna get into, as she talks about what it means to be agile. Again, it's a method of approaching a problem for a company and kind of improving it or optimizing it as you go along in steps. I love that. So what else does it mean? Because I see it in your name, to be agile or to be certified as an agilist. I hope I'm saying it right.
Yeah. So here's the thing. If you go apply for a role today and you don't have certifications, it'll be difficult. If you go for a role today and you have the certifications and you don't have the experience, it's going to be difficult. Okay. It's almost like a declaration more than anything when it comes to the certifications. I know how to do the job, and here's the framework that I studied. You can expect me to execute in this manner.
Got it. So you don't want to, it's hard because it's like my friend in sales. She's like, you make a killing in sales, but people in sales want people who have had experience. So even though she knows me and knows my personality, or, whoever knows whoever and says, oh, you would be great at that. It's either you definitely need both, but you got to start out at least with one or the other. Let's go. And hopefully you'll get a break, maybe, in a specific situation where someone might be, things happen, they really need somebody, or you're going to be cheaper than the next person, or all kinds of stuff can happen. So I will never say never, but unfortunately it's just almost like chicken or egg. But I don't have experience, but I have certification, but I have a certification, but I don't have experience. Like, it's like you need both, but eventually hopefully you can acquire. But again, I'm glad that you will paint a more realistic picture as to what people are looking for. So a person like yourself with 15 years experience now has a better chance and much more advantage of getting a project management type gig. Now, did you have a mentor to help show you how to get all this done?
Ooh, this is interesting. So I did not have a mentor for this coming in, which is why I spent so much money on that PMP.
Oh, okay.
I did not. But the person who ended up being my mentor, she's one of those people. You said, did I see anybody else?
Yeah.
Yes. She's one of those people who looked like me that was one. So
Mm.
she wasn't my official mentor, but I definitely looked at her when she got her PMP. I'm like, I'm going to do that. But I didn't have someone to help me strategically break into project management. But once I got in, she most definitely, hands down, is responsible for me here right now talking to you.
Oh, that's awesome. So it's good to know that there are people in the industry, you know, who are open to helping to at least help mentor to whatever degree someone new and helping them understand the ropes, which is important. I think sometimes, again, we get intimidated when there's no one we can ask in any industry. How does this really go? What's the real reason they're asking me this question? Or if you're in this scenario, how would you handle it? And those type of things, and make sure, you know, especially when you're starting out, that you're doing the right thing. So we've talked about how you started. You got a degree, organizational management. We're literally kind of already doing projects in school that had to do with project management. Right out of the gate, got a couple of certifications, and then kind of grew from there, being hired. What was your first job like? Was it an internal job?
So, well, yeah, I started project management in my very first corporate job.
Okay.
I just didn't know that's what it was called.
Got it.
And just to take you back, I actually didn't get any certifications until maybe 10 years into corporate. So I was doing the job a lot sooner than the certifications. So again, the certifications were just like
to tell people. Yeah,
exactly.
I know what I am talking about, in case you were curious, but I already been doing this. So okay, gotcha. So when
I was doing project management as a lab assistant, I would get pulled for special projects. And it wasn't like these fancy frameworks. I was just using lean principles to help me through these projects. And this is one thing that I teach to my mentees is, don't just be the person that comes to complain. Be the person that comes to make whoever has the authority, make them aware, but also bring your recommendations and your solutions with you.
This is just good practice across the board, project management or not. If you're working in corporate, don't be the problem, be the solution. Nobody wants anybody on their team that is not a self-starter. I had this conversation with a friend girl who's trying to hire management right now for her firm. She's like, these people are not self-starters. Like, the people I have are waiting on me to say A, B, and C, D. I hired you, office manager, to do A, B, and C, D. And if I have to coddle and kind of babysit you into telling you what to do, we've lost already. I've lost. I'm paying you to train you to do this job. So that problem solving, as you say, ability is the key to keeping your job and to keeping your clients happy. And for you not to kind of get, I guess, pushed into the generic basket of, okay, here goes another one that will tell me what's wrong, but is not going to bring me a solution. That's your job as a project manager. Cool. Give me an example of like a very tough project management, either assignment or internal job that you've had.
Okay, well, let me frame that up for you. So project managers don't actually do the work.
Yeah, understood. I understand that. They come up with a game plan.
Exactly.
Right. But there's not always good pieces on the puzzle board. That's what I'm thinking.
That part. So I've definitely had a project where the deadline. Okay, so I'll say this. I worked in traditional project management and Agile. So this is a traditional project management example. But I had a project where we pushed the date like 3 or 4 times. We pushed the release like 3 or 4 times. And it was because we just didn't have everything we needed, but we needed to get this project done. Otherwise, we were going to have to we would have to pay for the license again, which was almost $2 million. So we needed to migrate off of a system onto another system to prevent us from having to renew. That was the word I was looking for. Renew this license, which was almost $2 million. And we just didn't have all the elements in play to make it happen. So that, that's not any fault of mine. We didn't have the runway to do it at that time.
Right. So they hired you too late. They're like, come on, let's make this happen. We need to move over to a new system. And it's like, no, we can't do it. Interesting.
Well, sometimes projects don't work out and it has nothing to do with the people who are on the projects. Sometimes they're not even feasible projects to begin with. So if you don't have a strong enough leader who's strategic enough to get the right people in the room to have the conversation before they launch the project, it's doomed before they hand it over to me.
Yeah. Wow. So, okay. So there can be, and I don't even call that like not successful. It's like if you were not given the tools, the right resources, the time frame, whatever it was to actually execute or make something that maybe wasn't really realistic happen in the first place. So that's good to know, because I think people will look at that as, I don't know, there was a failure. No, you didn't give me what I needed to execute this. So,
and that's why it was hard for me to answer, because I'm like, you didn't take ownership of that.
Yes, because you're going to, if it's on you, but that ain't on me. That's the difficulty, is that you didn't give me enough of the resources it would take to execute that. And I think that is, fair in terms of it's logical. Like, again, here's what I had to work with. Here's what you expected. The two don't add up. So let's figure that out. So let's talk about money. What do project managers make? And what can, if you were transitioning, let's say with 5 years experience in similar work, maybe not having the label project management, but in similar type work, as you say, you don't like people to come out fresh, at least having worked in a little bit of a corporate setting. And you get your certified PMP and you get maybe a couple others, you become agile in that type of certification. So you spend your money, you get certified, you have at least that. Most people who watch this show probably have maybe 10 years of experience in what they're doing. Some are fresh. I have some teenagers actually watching me. So what is the earning potential? So people want to know, if I make the investment, what am I going to get on the upside? So what are we talking about in terms of, like, let's say beginner, 5 years experience, the PMP certification, and maybe a couple others? What would we be looking at as far as their going salary rate?
I'm going to give you this obtuse answer.
Yeah.
Because I want people to think through what I'm saying. But the 0 to 5 years is not a gauge of how great you'd be at the job. Okay. Because here's the thing. We know some Gen Zers and millennials who are just in there. I think there's another generation after that. They are just built differently. They have access to all of this information.
Yes.
One of the things I want to do before I leave this earth is get a capstone in high schools to teach project management, so that they start utilizing that skill set at the start of their senior year. Right. So it's not that, 0 to 5 years means absolutely you have no chance. I'm just saying those are not the people I prefer to work with. I have found.
All right, wait, let me back you up. Let me make sure I understand what you're saying there. So when you're saying built different, you're saying maybe they don't have the temperament, skill set, or mindset to do this type of work? So you're saying they're actually really good at this type of work. Oh.
Yes, they have access to so much.
Oh, so they're critical thinking. They know about new tools and things to implement quickly. Ah, interesting. Shout out to the, I think they're called the next generation alpha. So
but they know how to go find information if they really want to.
I love that.
So I would say junior PMs, which I don't believe in being a junior. Either you're doing the job or you're not, right? But junior PMs can look to start off at $80K. What I will say is someone with 0 to 5, I have a mentee who is only 3 years in, and she was making over $200K. What? At Amazon. But she didn't come in with entry level energy.
Oh, injured. Okay. Experience.
She hired a coach. She hired a coach, which was me, and said, "This is what I'm trying to get." And it was a mindset thing more than anything. Wow. So if you are able to pull together all of the things that make you a high performer, and then present them to the market, these organizations, and say, this skill set is worth this amount of money. That's very
Pay
different.
me. Let's go.
That's different than you going in with the, oh, just give me a chance. I know I'm entry level. Well, what does that even mean?
No, you got to sell yourself. Yeah.
Yeah, they got bills, and you shouldn't be another bill. You should be someone that generate revenue.
Exactly. So you need to come in stronger than I'm beginning, help me out. So it's how you market the skills that you actually do have. And like you said, the energy, the attitude, the aptitude for problem solving can get you through the door, like with a lesser amount of so-called experience. I love that. And Jarrell, I'm happy to see you, brother, says, so if you can't become a project manager without certifications and you can't get a job without experience, how do you get started? Good question. I think we're kind of getting into that now. How would you answer him?
So unless you are a senior in high school, never had a job outside of high school, never had a job outside of college, there are very few people who don't have experience.
Okay, so that's
I'm the coach that helps you find your experience.
Okay, so you've probably done some things and had some relatable experiences that would qualify you for this type of work. So what you might package it as right now, she's going to package it and put a bow on it and say, no. These are the skills we need to talk about from that job, because these are the skills that set you apart as a potential project manager. I see what you're saying. So no experience without that label called project management on that experience is what she's saying, but she's saying in your life and your work and career, there are experiences that can translate depending on how you market them to 100%. Get in the door. I understand now.
And I want to piggyback on that. This is my favorite title that people don't even think about. But if you've ever had a role and they called you a coordinator, those are gold. Project managers are coordinators. I know it says they're managers, but they're coordinators first.
Right. Okay. So different roles have project management like responsibilities. 100%. So you want to be able to market those. So answer is, Mandrell, you have experience. You just don't know if there's a way that you can market it to what project managers are looking for, what people are looking for in project managers. So it's always, if you just fresh out of school, that's no experience. But if you've worked 10, 15, 20 years, you have some experience. Yeah. So very good. It's not like you don't have any experience. But coming out of school, I think she would approach the client differently than a person that obviously has had 10, 15, 20 years of work experience. So that's very good to think about. It translate. Hey, wonderful 34. Great to have you. Thanks, Mandrell. Great question. Go ahead.
I was going to say those coming right out of high school, they don't understand they don't have any business acumen.
No.
And project management starts at business acumen.
Yeah. Which is shout out to the people who worked in corporate America. I think this is like, look at yourself as a potential project manager, and then she can also help you to define from your previous roles aspects of your responsibilities that reflect a project management type, leadership or skill. So it's really important to think of it in that way as a business skill. I love that. And so we're not counting anybody out. If you've worked in corporate and in some role, you might have what it takes. We got to kind of look at your resume and kind of maybe paint it a little different for people to get that you have those skills. I love it. Facts and the uncomfortable truth with Bernard S. in the building. Welcome, he says, Sister Suzette, and welcome, Amber. Glad you are here. Thanks everybody for watching. If you're watching Team Replay, her information is in the video description, y'all. If you have questions, you can go back even under the video and ask them. She'll be happy to, or I'll make sure she gets them if you're watching on the replay side. But having a conversation, we got about 15 minutes left, y'all. If you have any questions, please ask them now with Miss Amber Chandler. You can find her at amber.agilist on Insta is how I found her. It's funny. I love social media when it works this way and bringing people together, because I'm like, I wonder what she does. I wonder what this means. I'll see all these things that you're doing and all these certifications and lists of things. And sometimes you just got to ask and you got to say, hey, what is it that you do? How do you help people? And I'm grateful to have her as a 15+ year expert, having done project management herself, seen the industry from the inside, now coaching and helping people to transition to this career if that's what they're looking for. So definitely consider it, guys, in terms of a possible life change. So we're saying you could get young folk to make 200 if you have the type of life experience we're talking about and career experience, 10, 15 years, that you could kind of window dress to make it seem like this is project management as a component of what I used to do. This is project management as a component of what my job was when I was, 10 years ago, blah, 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 blah. So if you have experience, what are you looking at in terms of, is that the same income range, 80K and up, or more than that? Or what's the most you've seen people make?
If you're making anything under than 80K as a project manager,
you ain't doing your job.
Well, you just might not be with the right company. Maybe you haven't packaged your skills properly.
Because I'm like, if the youngins are starting at 80K, people with 10 years or more experience should be six figure. Yeah.
That part. So when I work with clients, my goal is to get them to 6 figures. And the reason why that is my primary goal is because, like, 100,000, right, is some magic number for people.
For everybody. 6-figure man, 6-figure woman, everybody. We love that 100. Something about that mentally.
Yeah, but until they get that, actually can hold that in their hands, they don't make the proper mindset shifts to make 140, 170, 180, you know what I mean? So it's just like, let's just get you to 1K, because energetically, that's what you're bringing to these interviews, to your resume.
Lord have mercy.
But
so you need a certain energy. Yeah. So, okay, so it's a personality thing, sounds like, too. Well, that's when you say soft skills is number one, because your personality and people wanting to work with you, wanting to listen to you, you have to have that kind of that leadership quality that people want to be around, respect, and give feedback to openly, and not feel, kind of turned off by. I'm actually helping a homeboy with that right now. He gets misperceived as being like, I think it's just his stature. He's tall, dark, and handsome, really, and a tall, bald-headed black guy. And people assume this dark-skinned man is like aggressive. And if you meet him, I'm like, we got to think about how rebranding you for, unfortunately, people's assumptions and biases. Because I'm like, once you get to know him, he's amazing. But people will see him and think, ooh, I'm scared of you. What you scared of? I'm walking. How about that? I'm just walking like down the street. But it's amazing how much of that we have to contend with sometimes. And if you have mastered that, it's a skill across the board, no matter what industry you're in. As Black people, like, there are things that we have to think about that others may not be. And when it comes to how we're perceived as liked and well-liked and that kind of thing. And the angry Black man, angry Black woman, these tropes follow us, even though we're just trying to live our lives. And we ain't worried about nobody. But I'm sure, especially in this type of job where you have to deal with people every day, maybe on the phone, by email, communication, and your personal brand, super important. How you personally brand yourself is going to be very, very, very important. So I want to get into, so we're hearing 6 and up, 6, up, sixes. How much hours a week are we talking about when we talk about making that 120, 140, 170? What is that like? Is you live in this project? Is that like on a 8-month project? Is that a full-time internal, or what is that? What is that like?
It's whatever that particular maybe contract is, or that role. I know project managers who work 60 hours. I know project managers who work 40. I know project managers who work 20. So it really depends on what you're working on, what the work environment is like. Do they have you managing one project, or do they have you managing 6? Or do they have you micro, like, I wanted to say micro, do they have you high level managing 50?
Got it.
So it really just depends on the working environment, but expect to start out 80K even for individuals who don't think like the one individual, I think it was Landrell, who said no experience, right?
Yeah, Mandrell.
Landrell could probably get 80 next week.
Okay, with your
Well,
eyes closed, Mandrell. What's up?
I wouldn't say next week, but
No, I get what you mean. Yes,
we'd have to put together your profile, your positioning. We got to make it do what it do, but it you got to make it.
Everything is packaging. I feel like that's a part of the marketing. Like some people do not understand how to market themselves. Because I was telling homeboy, I'm like, you might need to. He was like, I wear suits. I'm like, maybe you don't need to wear the suit. Maybe you come out with no jacket and just a tie, or maybe just a button down with khakis. Because if you want to play the corporate game, you got to make people like you become one of the guys. So it's difficult sometimes the way we as Black people think, well, I got a suit on, I'm making my statement. Well, maybe you're making the wrong statement. We don't even understand sometimes how people can misinterpret what we're trying to do. And again, I'm not saying he's not being professional. You're being professional, but there's a way to control the narrative is really what it comes down to. And sometimes as Black folks, we have to do a little bit more like extra to try to get ahead of what the narrative is going to be if I say this, or if I write that email, or if I do what I'm trying to do, which is an undue burden, but it's real, especially if you're going to play in the corporate arena, is a part of like the extra tax we have when it comes to how we present ourselves. And it ain't for everybody. People don't want to do it. That's not be for you. But this is important.
I'm glad you mentioned that though, because that actually hits on, remember I told you we have a SWV method?
Oh yes, SWV.
Of recession proofing.
Yes.
So we hit on the soft skills, and then you brought in, you didn't even realize that's one of them, is visibility. That's the V. But well, I guess we did. So it's soft skills, work experience, and visibility. So we technically did talk about work experience.
Yes, we have actually. And no, it's really important, guys, that I think sometimes we don't know how great a package we can present. We are in our own little bubbles. What I realized, even talking to my homeboy, I'm like, he's so used to people telling him, oh, you should do this, or you are definitely at that. No, you are who you say you are, depending on how you package yourself. So when you sometimes get in that bubble and you can't see yourself, you need professionals like Amber to come in and say, hold up, I see you in a whole different way. You've done X, Y, and Z. That is, qualifying for type of project management. You need to say this on your resume instead of this. Or you can kind of pivot to this type of job. Like it's important. Sometimes we can't see ourselves. We can see other people. We can't see ourselves for all that we have to offer and what we're presenting. So visibility is really important. How you post, what you post. Even my cousin, I'm getting honored tomorrow at a woman-in-law brunch for Women's History Month. And she saw the flyer, and I'm the only one. I have my picture I've been using is a red dress with a little, extra cleavage or whatever. She was like, it's a woman-in-law thing. Everybody else look conservative. Is that the picture that you want? And I was like, actually, I don't have a more conservative picture that I'm using right now. So I'm cool with it because, it's part of my brand. And she was laughing, but I love the fact that she even picked up real quick on clues as one of these things are not like the other. Like what are you saying versus the city of Miami attorney and the city of this attorney or whatever? And I was like, well, I'm a hostess and that's a part of my brand too. So I'm fine with it. But I love the fact that, again, people who know you still have a different bird's eye view from what you think of yourself as and want to make sure you're aligned with, these are the heavy hitters. I'm like, I'm with tomorrow top lobbyists and all of us gonna be awarded at a brunch, and I'm still gonna have on my little red dress and do what I'm doing. But people, it's again, how are you perceived? Sometimes I didn't even think about it when I sent them that picture. I'm like, here is the picture I'm using now. So it's so interesting. Again, what you put out can say a lot more about you than you even know. Work experience as well, in terms of visibility, in terms of how you're marketing yourself on a regular day-to-day basis, what people see about you on these socials and stuff.
I mean, you summed it up.
Yeah.
Yes.
Let's take people got to think about it in different ways. Thank you. I appreciate you. Yeah, this will be, first of all, we have everything going on in Miami. Where are you located, by the way?
Indiana.
Oh, really? Indiana in the building. Okay, Hoosiers. So I've been there. Actually, I was on my way to Cincinnati and flew into Indiana, drove through the most beautiful beautiful. I almost want to say farmland, countryside. It looks so beautiful.
A lot of farmland.
On the way to Cincinnati, I was like, Indiana got it going on, like silos and all this stuff, but it was beautiful. That it's like an hour, not even an hour drive. But nonetheless, yes, I was saying that there's everything going on right now in Miami, guys. Ulta is going on, spring break is going on, and they put me in. This will be in Overtown, which is a historically Black district of Miami, and we'll be having a brunch celebrating women in law. And they asked me last week, they were like, would you be our honoree? And I was like, fantastic. I'm like, sometimes, again, you don't see how other people see you. And I'm used to hosting these things, but not necessarily being honored all the time. But I'll be tomorrow, Overtown at I forget the sponsor. It's like a drink, a vodka company. I'll post it on my community page for everybody to see. But I'm really excited about that. But yeah, the branding, I think, again, that has to do with my visibility and always keeping myself out there. Sometimes I get tired of posting, y'all. I'd be tired. I'm like advertising these shows, advertising this stuff, advertising this, advertising my firm, advertising, like it's like all this stuff all the time. But it people see it. People, you stay top of mind when people are ready for you. Thank you. And M. Mills says she's also from Indiana. Okay, cool. Hey, Indiana in the building, representing for the Midwest.
That is not common.
I love it. People are saying they enjoyed it. Okay, so 5 minutes left. We got top 3 last things you want to remember if you're going into or thinking about going into project management. This is, again, last questions, please. Happy birthday to Damon. Congratulations. Happy birthday. Congratulations. Happy birthday. I just saw that. Happy birthday, Damon. Thank you for being here. He's a fantastic supporter. I just saw you actually have a channel too, Pastor. I love it. Congratulations. If you would, Damon, drop your channel in the chat. I would love for people to go subscribe to you. Fantastic to have you on your birthday. I hope you do something special. Hey, Reese, good to have you all the way Philly in the building. Listen, here goes Mandrill. I've just hired my marketing company to help me market myself and my business. That'll be SuzetteSpeaks and Amber Chandler. Listen, you don't know what you have to offer sometimes. Sometimes it takes somebody from the outside to tell you this is how you can better, position yourself, as they say, to get into this. So last kind of 3 takeaways. Thinking about project management, what do you do? How do you start? Things to remember.
All right, I'll give you the SWV method again. Make sure your soft skills are being prioritized, right? Whatever that means to you. What it means to me is your problem solving, your communication, and your ability to bring in process improvements. That's your soft skills. Your work experience should speak for the job that you want. I did not say work history on purpose because there should never be a gap in your employment. Even with the layoff, there should never be a gap in your employment because you're going to keep busy. Okay. Right. So your work experience, making sure it makes sense and it's consistent with the skill sets that you're trying to cultivate and practice. And lastly, your visibility should be a campaign. Like Suzette says, people should see you. You should almost be viral because you're sharing your thought leadership related to who you are personally and professionally. Recruiters should be hunting you down so much so that you need to be asking them, how'd you hear about me?
I love it. Well, I'm definitely going to investigate a little bit more into this because I see you, Damon. Thank you. On his birthday, he says he has his channels up there, y'all. But I heard now, again, you're the 3rd Black woman I know that is in this industry. My friend girls who do it, they work from home and they make good money. Exactly. And again, the C19 has let us know that Black people don't want to go back into an office because many of us have stated, surveys have shown that we don't like to deal with, if there is an office that has microaggressions, etc. We'd rather just be at home. Why we got to deal with the office politics? So she, has 3 kids. She's able to take care of her husband, take care of her family, and work from home. And I only see her when she's going to conferences about these Six Sigmas and this stuff like that. And but I'm grateful that you have come through to at least tell us more and give us an opportunity to learn more about project management, y'all. It's its own industry. I think it has a lower barrier to entry, even though you got to take those exams. Sometimes I think it's worth it because it's less costly than maybe a 4-year degree. If you are, thinking about how am I going to pivot. I don't have all the time. I have the kids now. This might be an easier transition. Of course, it's going to take work, but an easier transition based on, your experience, your work experience, to say, hey, I can do this from home. I'm very good at the soft skills, the good writing, good communication skills. I am a problem solver. I do that anyway in whatever jobs I'm in. And now you can be recognized in this industry. Where can they find more? Yes, people like, yes, I love working from home. Listen, none of the project managers I know go in the office, and their targets are high in terms of what they want to make. They're telling me 200,000 or more. That's what they want to make by next year, whatever. So listening to you and listening to them, I'm like, oh, okay, there's something that we need to know about. We need to investigate and possibly, try out for size. If it fits you, we just want to bring you some information so that you can understand what it's going to mean to be a project manager. So I'm grateful she came by and spent some time, y'all. You know how to get in contact with her, but say it again. How do they find you? Where can they find more information about what you do and how you help people transition?
All right. So you'll have, if you visit me on Instagram, you have a good time. I'm amber.agilist. I'm pretty casual. I'm casual at work, just like I am online. And it works. So you can find me on Instagram or TikTok at amber.agilist. On LinkedIn, I am Amber Chandler. And then if you are curious about the programs that I offer, I am www.sopevolution.com. And that is my training company. So SOPevolution.com.
SOPevolution.com. Well, we've been so blessed to have you on this beautiful Saturday. I hope y'all have enjoyed the show, learned something new, and we'll check her out. Please do go and follow her on social media. Follow her on TikTok, Insta, get good information about what she's doing. And again, consider project management. There's a part of this I think a lot of people fit into. So if you didn't know more about it, you can follow her, and you can also just start doing your research, guys, and seeing if this is something that you might be interested in doing, and keeping yourself out this recession. Hello, somebody. by moving.
And I did want to mention, I almost forgot. Yes. Thursday, I opened up another cohort for my training program. It's called Paid and Preferred. And what we do is we help you get packaged and positioned so you can make that 6-figure plus transition into project management. And if you send me an email or DM me or an Instagram something, I'll give you a $300 off code.
What? Y'all, we getting all the discounts off here. The Detox lady gave us 40% off. You getting $300 off just by watching the SuzetteSpeaks show. You're welcome. Please go check her out.
Today, though.
Ends today. So go amber.agilist and on Insta, or DM her, or find her on LinkedIn and DM her, and check it out. Ends today. And we will definitely support you. And I know people might be curious, and maybe even just write her. If your team replayed, find her on all socials. And we appreciate you being here, sis. And congratulations on all your success. Thank you. It's been a joy. Y'all, I think I'm going to do a quick Patreon right after this. I'm going to grab something to eat, though. So if you are part of my Patreon community, come through. It's my members only support. And I appreciate you. I think I got a new member. I'm excited. But go to patreon.com/SuzetteSpeaks for exclusive content you will not find here on YouTube, showing a little bit behind the scenes of my life here in Miami, as well as, shows that we go a little bit deeper. But this was fun. Thank you so much, everybody, for liking, commenting, and sharing. And I hope you come back. And if I can ever be of service, you let me know. Awesome sauce. I appreciate you, Amber. Y'all have a good day. Thanks for watching, y'all. Take care. Bye now.